Welcome to Georgia Southern University. We are so excited to have you join our community today, and I'm here to help you make sure you get ready for your big move-in day coming up, but actually a lot quicker than you expect. I'll be sharing some key information with you about what to bring and what not to bring, along with some what's recently approved items, and lastly, just a few policy information. So with that, let's go ahead and definitely dive right in. I want to get a chance to talk to you about what you definitely should be bringing with you. For a quick summary and highlights, you want to make sure you bring your essentials. This includes your bathroom essentials, shoes, clothes, and personal toiletries, because we want to make sure you can take care of yourself. As far as study and tech, we want to make sure you bring your computer, your study lamp if you have one, TV, gaming consoles, and things like that, just to make sure you have that tech that you would need in your space. You can also bring printers if you would like. I do want to let you know in the halls, we do have our own printing station that you can use to print whatever you may need, because wireless printing is prohibited here on the university network. So it'll just make it easier for you to use that. Next, as far as your kitchen supplies, you want to make sure you bring things like pots and pans if you're in an apartment, as well as if you're not in an apartment, still make sure you bring your coffee maker, some non-perishable items, just to make sure you still have that food in your space. Next, cleaning supplies, because we want to make sure we can keep a tidy space, because that's, again, one of the big issues we have in the residence halls as far as roommate issues. So disinfectants, hand sanitizers, small vacuums are must-haves in order to make sure you can keep your space nice and tidy. Lastly, we want to make sure for your comfort and convenience, because this is your home away from home, you bring your things like your mattress pad, your sheets, and your linens, as well as an iron or steamer, as long as it has an auto shut-off feature. And this will help you make sure your room can be just as comfy as your room back home. Next, I want to go into the fun part, which is our recently approved items. So with that, this list provided is approved for complexes including Centennial Place, Compass Point, Eagle Village, Freedom's Landing, Kennedy, but the super suites only, Southern Courtyard, and Southern Pines. These items include air fryers, electric griddles, George Foreman type grills, panini presses, quesadilla makers, rice cookers, slow cookers, toaster ovens, waffle irons, plug-in fragrances, which are now allowed at Watson, convection stove tops, and lastly, heated blankets. Now, these are all new tools that we want to make sure we can provide to you in the halls. So if you would like to cook outside of our provided dining services, you have that option available to you. But the main thing is to make sure all of these have that auto shut off feature, because that dates back to our fire safety policy. We want to make sure we keep everybody safe here at the dorms. Let's look at what you definitely shouldn't be bringing into the halls. This list is crucial for all the safety of the residents in that space, as well as the complex as a whole. Some of these prohibited items include your alcohol paraphernalia, bed risers, candles, and incense, charcoal or gas grills, and lastly, deep fryers. All of that are open source flames that can lead to a huge problem here at the complexes. So we want to make sure we keep everybody safe. So we please just recommend you leave those at home. Next are our safety hazards, including electric scooters, extension cords, portable heaters, and large fabric items that exceed 3 by 5 feet, all of which are not allowed. Now, while I did say extension cords, we do recommend you still bring a surge protector for all of those devices. Lastly, another big restriction that we have is no pets. We understand that your pets can sometimes be your best friend, but with that, we want to give everybody a safe space for them. So we just ask and recommend that you leave your pets at home unless they are ESA approved and have that housing support behind them. And last little bit of a side, so microwaves for Watson, they definitely are allowed, but there is only allowed one per unit. All the other complexes have those microwaves provided, so that's one less thing you really have to worry about packing. Lastly, we want to make sure we go over some policy violations, so that way you know these ahead of time to make sure you aren't necessarily breaking any kind of policies, and you can have a safe time here in the residence hall. So first, we're going to go over our alcohol in possession. If you're 21 or older and planning to have alcohol, make sure you just follow the guidelines highlighted in your residential community guide, which you will definitely have access to. This includes properly labeling your alcohol containers, placing alcohol in individual bedroom spaces, and not using common source containers like kegs or beer pongs. Next, that ties us into our guests and visitation. Now, we definitely allow you to have your guests over, but there is certain policies when it comes to that. It can either go by what you set up in the roommate agreement or our official housing policy, which includes escorting your guests, getting permission from your roommates, and not hosting guests more than 3 consecutive nights or 15 nights total in a semester. Now, again, that can vary from space to space depending on that roommate agreement, but if it does create any issues, we will always revert back to this housing guest policy. Next, we want to talk about your room decorations because you're definitely going to bring them again to help make sure that home away from home feels comfortable to you. So in terms of your decorations, they should be kept at least 12 inches from the ceiling. It should not cover more than 50% of the wall. Avoid suspended items from the ceiling and using any damaging adhesives. However, we do recommend you always bring command strips. They are the easiest way to hang up your decorations without causing any major paint damage. We also make sure any curtains or window treatments are fire retardant, again, dating back to that fire safety policy. Drugs and tobacco are all substances that are not allowed on campus. In terms of drugs, the possession, use, or distribution of illegal substances, including synthetic cannabinoids, is strictly prohibited. This includes the use of prescription medications and possessing any drug paraphernalia. As far as tobacco, all forms of tobacco products on property owned, leased, or rented or belonging to Georgia Southern University is strictly prohibited. This includes cigarettes, cigars, pipes, all forms of smokeless tobacco, clove cigarettes, and any other smoking devices that use tobacco, such as hookahs, or simulate the use of tobacco, such as electronic cigarettes or vaporizers. Now we lean more into that security piece to make sure everybody, again, is feeling safe in their space. Student identification cards, i.e. your student ID or Eagle ID, should only be used by you. Altering, lending, or unauthorized use of your ID is strictly not allowed. Now, while that student ID will get you into your residence hall complexes, there still are some places that you shouldn't be entering. So that unauthorized entry and use, unauthorized use of university equipment, bathrooms, exits, windows, or keys is also prohibited. At times, people may be behind you and wanting to enter a shared space or residence hall. Please make sure you avoid holding the door for people you aren't sure live in the complex, so that way we're not creating a massive safety concern for the people living in that space. Next, when it comes to any violations, if you witness a violation, please report them immediately to the Office of Student Conduct. These include, please make sure you include the details, including the type of misconduct, names, dates, and any other evidence you can provide to help build and support that violation. You can also report concerns on the LiveSafe app, which can directly contact the University Police Department and your resident advisor to make sure that information gets exactly to the source that it needs to. Please make sure you go ahead and download that LiveSafe app and enter your residence hall's on-call phone number into your phone during Operation Movement, which that number will definitely be provided to you. That is all I had for now, Eagles. I know that was a long discussion, but we wanted to make sure we have that information for you moving forward. We definitely cannot wait to see you on move-in day. If you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us by any means. And from one Eagle to another, I wish you safe travels and hope you get ready for an amazing year here at Georgia Southern University.